Happy Monday, everybody. Everybody, happy Monday. I am Kevin Bryant, and it is a great Monday, and we are here for our Tastemaker Spotlight today. And I have a wonderful, legendary, I don't even know how to say this, the legendary, the king, I mean, whatever you want to call it. But I think it's a great thing. We have Mr. Angelo Ellerbee, Dr. Angelo Ellerbee, legendary Angelo Ellerbee. How are you, sir?
I'm blessed. I'm very, very blessed, and a pleasure to be with you today.
Thank you. Thank you. A lot of people don't know you are like a giant and legend and the PR guru in this industry. And a lot of people that grew up in my age bracket, we know you. We know you. And the world knows you obviously through your work. So I don't know. How you feeling?
I'm feeling blessed, highly favored, thanking God for each and every second of my life and giving back His work to the people that I come and I get involved with. I just think that it's wonderful when you can appreciate your blessings, and I'm very appreciative for my blessings. I've been doing this for 50 years, so I have been consistent in my plight, and I know it's not my work, but it's the work of the Lord.
That is amazing. And like you said, to be doing this for 50 years in this industry is like, whew, how many people can say that? And you started some of the greats. And I mean, we can get right into it. I see people are logging on. Hello, everybody. Thank y'all for joining. Um, PR.
Yeah.
Was that the first thing where you started?
No, no, this whole PR thing was a fluke. It was
Mhm.
nothing that I ever wanted to do. It was something that fell into my lap. My goals, my aspirations were to be an actor, to be a dancer, but never a PR agent. But in my community, I had to understand how I was in a very deprived community. I grew up in the city of Newark. I call it the greatest city in the world, but it was a very deprived community. No culture, no outlook for my life and my lifestyle, and the people who joined in my lifestyle with me. We had no out to
Mhm.
anything. So we had to work always from within. And so
Mhm.
I began to do what was fashion shows. I did
Mhm.
fashion shows in the city of Newark and the state of New Jersey for about 17 to 18 years, giving money to the Peter Ho Foundation for AIDS and HIV research,
Mhm.
for the United Negro Scholarship Fund. I did these things starting like at 15, 16 years old. And I used to do these shows and I would bring in Carmen de Lavalon, Joffrey Holder, Imans, Patty Cleveland, Jeffrey Holder, the Alvin Ailey Dancers, because my community was very deprived of what was culture.
Mhm.
And I started to do these fashion shows. I designed clothes, but I would bring in those Seventh Avenue designers. I would also bring in the New Jersey designers, and we would bring greatness together.
Mhm.
And so one day, at one of the shows that I did at the Newark Symphony Hall, there was a young lady by the name of Camille Mtume who
Mhm.
came to my shows. I never knew who came to the shows unless they stayed afterwards. In this one particular show, she stayed after. And she said, I don't know if you know my husband. My husband is James Mtume. And I said, no, I don't know him. And then she told me about, his history in terms of music, that he had out the number one record at that point called Juicy Fruit. And
Mhm.
so Camille and I became very good friends. I began to introduce her to what was fashion industry in the New Jersey side and the New York side, and we became like brothers and sisters. And so one day, Tume came to me and said, "Hey man, if you can do all of this stuff for Camille, why don't you come in and manage me?" And I looked up at, I was like, man, I don't know nothing about no music. What are you talking about? He says, well, I'm going to teach you. And every single day he would take me into New York City. A lot of times he would let me go to these meetings. These people would call him and say, you sure this is your manager? Because I was totally dumbfounded to the music industry. But
Mhm.
every day his teaching, I stood on his shoulder. I learned the music industry from James M. Tume. And if anyone knows Ntume, they know that he's brilliant beyond
Yes. Yes.
possible imagination. So he would teach me. I had to come into his room, his yellow room, sit there and tell him the wheres and the tears of what I was going through in terms of the record label. And then one day he said, I think you got it. Go for it. And I began to run his production company called Ifland. I,
Wow.
all of the project, all the musical projects that came from him to me, I oversee, supervised, and or managed. And then one day he called me upstairs because I was working downstairs in his house. And he said to me, I just got a movie offer. I said, are you serious? He said, yeah, I'm going to be doing the soundtrack for The Native Son. Now,
Oh,
this,
wow.
yeah, this film was the first film that Oprah Winfrey ever started. And I was like, really, Mtume? So he says, and you're going to do the publicity. And I was like, what are you talking about? And I went to find out what publicity was. I went on board 200 newspapers, copied off the bylines, and began to create this thing called double exposure. That's how I got into publicity. It was a fluke. And I continued. But I also came from a very forceful family, a very forceful mother who was not about to give you anything. My
Mm-hmm.
mother was about contributions to the
Mm-hmm.
family. It was seven of us, including her, it was eight of us. So I learned the wears and the tears of survival and
Right.
taking every particular opportunity. It wasn't about the money, it was the opportunity. And I think
Mm-hmm.
you understand the opportunity and you make the opportunity work for you. Because I've just never seen an opportunity knock at my door.
Right.
I always had to knock at the door in order to get the opportunity. And there goes Ntume. So I learned everything from James Ntume. And then I started in club music. I did like the Sybil's of the world, the Jocelyn Browns, the Joe Mandas, the phase two. I started doing those things within my community because back in that time, club music was New Jersey's home. And
Right.
so I just began to diversify and understanding the importance of diversifying and standing on great shoulders, such as Ntume and so many other people that I came to work with.
So did you go straight from that to other artists, or you went to start doing magazines? And
Well,
because
the beginning of my career started out as a
Mhm.
model when I was in high school. Here in the United States, I was a joke trying to model because I did not have the body to model. But overseas, I could go over, and my body type was what it was. I had a friend of mine's rush taking some pictures of me, which was not the best pictures of me, and it wasn't representative of what I was trying to get across. So, for 4 months in Paris, France, I mean, I had a party. I hustled my money, had a party, went overseas. My mother allowed me to go. I did what I needed to do, and I didn't work at all for 6 months. And I had very little funds. So I went to work in a soul food restaurant, a restaurant by the Champs Elysees. I cooked collard greens and fried chicken for about 6 months until I met a photographer.
Wow.
And the photographer reshot my pictures, and I began to work, and then come back. The key goal is my aspiration of my life has always been my mother. I believe that my mother was great. Then I mean, like everybody thinks their mother is great, but I thought my mother was great. Then she was going to be greater, and I wanted her to be the greatest with possessions of greatness. And so I worked, and I still work to this day for what I believe is a family, not just my siblings, but brothers and sisters and people in my community, in the gay community. And yes, I'm
Mhm.
saying that, uh,
Mhm.
that doesn't have a way out and that have always been shut down because of their sexual preference, because of what they look like. Uh, I wanted to open up doors. And
Mm.
so in the city of Newark, they started back in the 70s and 80s. I mean, it was just a closed door kind of thing that you did not talk about it. We had one place that we went to gather and to be who we wanted to be. And we fought collectively together to have what would be a gay flag flying on Gay Pride Day at City Hall, that
Mhm.
place. So it was like I used whatever my celebrity was at that time to open up the doors and begin to educate and hopefully stimulate young people about the awareness of this life, this lifestyle, how you must consist, how you must exist in this bigger world, how your acceptance will never be an acceptance. And that's why I say to artists today, we don't need another of anyone else. We need some originality. We need
Okay.
for people, we need artists to be original. Don't try to go and be a Mary J. Blige. Don't try to Alicia Keys. Be who you are.
That's right.
Made them because they were who they were. Be who
Mm.
you are and be free at who you are. Respect yourself and love yourself. I tell people every single day that I'm romantically in love with Angelo Ellerbee. I love some me. Because in order for me to love, in order for me to give you some love, I gotta have love. And
That's
I
true.
gotta teach you how to love me.
That's true.
I
That
gotta teach you how to respect me.
wow. Okay, you speaking to me so directly, you don't even know it. But with that being said, with the artists of today, you know, what do you think that block is because I know a lot of artists now, they if one artist is successful, then everybody wants to be like that particular artist until the next one comes along. It's just like it reminds me of the Wiz when the colors change. you
Yeah,
know,
and that's the point, Kevin. The point that I'm trying to make here today is whoever you are and whatever you are, be that.
mm,
Try to emulate something that is not you. We we're going to buy on we're going to buy as consumers on originality, on image, and on style. That's what we're going to buy on. The
right.
big piece of it all for me is once you get that stage, that platform, that you're taking care of your business.
Hmm.
It's not called the it's not called music, and it's called the business of music. So I want you to be astute to understand the importance of your staying power. It's not just the craft of singing or dancing, it's the business of it all. You have to understand what your publishing is. You have to understand what all of these, when you want to bring 15 and 19 people on the road with you, you think that the record company is giving you this? It's called recoupables. You want to begin to educate yourself. That's the staying power. The unfortunate thing that what happens in our communities today is that we forget about the business and we get into the craft. And then we want to become accusatory to the manager, to the record label. Well, you ripped me off. No, 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 no. You ripped yourself off because you
Mm,
didn't take the time to educate yourself the way that you educated yourself about that song and learn the lyrics of that song. You need to learn the lyrics to that contract and what you have signed on, what you are giving away. You
mm.
have to be in tune, just like the song. You have to be in tune to the song. You got to be in tune to the contract and the people that you bring around you.
Ooh.
Because everybody wants to say that everybody is a friend. And I tell people, take that word friend and split it in the middle. What you get? You got the end of a friend.
Yeah, that is a good the end of a friend.
And
That
that's what so you have to, it's like having a friend is like, or having a manager and a friend, it's like first it's a courtship, then it's an engagement, and then it's a marriage.
mm,
I gotta know you to consider you my friend. I
mm.
have to take the time to nourish and understand where you coming from, and if you really on my side, or you on the side of coming in and taking what you need to take from me and going someplace else.
See?
Oh, that happens. Then you have to really define what is the root of all evil.
Mm,
People say it's money, and a lot of times it is. I happen to define it as jealousy.
mm. Yeah. Whew, Lord, you preaching. Hold on. Hmm. I had to sip on that one. Because I mean, I know you got a lot of little nuggets to throw out today, and that one right there just hit me so hard. I had to take a sip of seltzer. But jealousy, is a big part, and jealousy is disguised
Well, it
as
is.
friends,
Yeah.
as managers, as loved ones, as labels.
Yes. Yeah.
And instead of getting to the root of it, they try to act through it, and that's what creates the whole downfall.
You see, a good pimp is going to treat his hoe right. That means that you have to take care, right? You just
Yep.
can't put him or her in the middle of the street and say,
Right.
bring me this back. If you're not taking care of that, they can't bring you that back.
That's
So you
right.
want anything that you go to do, just don't do it. Understand why you're doing it. Understand why you fell. You fell for a reason.
Mm,
Understand why you fell, and then understand how you're going to get back up.
mm, mm. See,
Everybody is falling, but you got to understand why you fell.
that's
And I
right.
always say karma is a bitch.
Hmm. You said it. You said it. See, artists, this is how you get real, real. I'm just going to open up too. If you guys have any questions on artist development or PR or anything like that, please feel free to type in and ask these questions, because you want to get the answer to these while you got this man on here telling you about that, because this is some real, real knowledge here. And you don't get this from the people that you think you should get it from. So we're going to get it real from the legend. So with that being said, I just want to ask you a question too. I remember a magazine called Right On Magazine,
Yes.
and I remember, growing up wanting to be an artist and everything. I would always look at it, and I would always see your name. I would always see your name, and it's like I remember it so well. Never knew that I would have the day would come that I would, be talking to you. But how was that working with Right On, all the new artists that were coming up? We had somewhere to be.
Let me just get real for a second. We are going through such trauma with racism today.
Hmm.
It's not just today, it was yesterday, and it was way beyond. And back in that time period, there was Hype Here,
Hmm.
there was Black Beats, there was a number of magazines, and they were all owned by white people.
See that?
Okay, so what happens is they come to this black man and say, we will pay you a salary to use your name.
Wow.
And it's still being done today. You have a lot of so called black publications that are being ran by people who don't look like you and I.
Hmm.
That's called a serious pimp. And
Mm.
so the person like me, who they use their name, I really didn't have the power of the magazine.
Hmm.
They just paid me to utilize my name. Sure, I would go in and become creative in terms of photo shoots and that kind of thing there. And that's what I'm really trying to get the story right for your followers and for your viewers today. Is
Hmm.
that we must understand the importance of being collective. We have to be a collective community of people, sharing and caring and helping and standing on the shoulders of each other.
Mm.
It just everything comes in disguises.
Hmm.
Everything that you think is, it's not.
Mm.
And so, I mean, that period of time, yes, the alignment of those magazines were it was great for me and it was great for my business. I was able to put certain things in the publication, but I really had no serious control of the magazines. Content wise, I can make my suggestions, but it was an opportunity that I took because I understood the importance of the elevation of my company at that time.
Wow. I mean, and that was the hub. That magazine was a hub for us to, get to know our artist at that time. And I mean, religiously, I collected Right On Magazine.
Well,
Yeah.
there's an incredible woman who was really the mastermind of Right On Magazine, which was Cynthia Horner.
Yes.
She was a mastermind. She was the editor. She was everything to that magazine. And now, God bless her, she's now the owner of Right On Magazine. And but it took a long, long period of time for that to come. But she's
Mm.
the mastermind of Right On Magazine.
Wow. And let's also transition that into like some of the greats that you had the opportunity to work with. Like I'm gonna go ahead and start with it. Michael Jackson.
Yeah.
I mean, see, he's like, yeah. I
Well,
mean,
everything, man. Telling you, everything is a divine blessing. Uh, I got a call, and they asked me would I be willing to do some damage control because it was during a period of Michael's career that we needed to maneuver some things around.
mhm,
And I said, sure, I welcome it. And so it was so bad at that time. I always said, if there's an accident, before you file what would be a police report, you should go back to the scene of the accident. And what I mean by that, I created, along with this organization, what was it? The Children's Choice Awards.
mhm,
It was a creation. It was a creation. It wasn't nothing, it was a creation.
mhm,
Creation was that we would highlight those politicians, those celebrities in our New York City area. I think we did Governor Cuomo's wife, and we did some other dignitaries. And then what we did is we filled the room full of children and we honored Michael Jackson. And it was the separation of the seas. The building almost came down when he came on stage, and
mhm,
all of what used to be was no longer.
mhm.
So it's not just publicity, but it's also being astute enough to understand how you maneuver damage control and how you deal with damage control. And so the next day, in 40 or 50 newspapers across the country, it was a new acceptance of what was all one time in question.
Right.
So yeah,
Wow.
I love working for Michael. He was a phenomenal client. I really dealt with him maybe 2 or 3 times. I dealt with his VP of publicity, which was Bob Jones. But it was
Mhm.
wonderful. It was a wonderful time. And then what's next? That's always for me. It's like, what's next?
What's next? So I mean, you also had Dionne Warwick and Kool and the Gang. So many legends.
Well, Miss Work is very, very dear to me. I've been representing Miss Work for 36 years.
Wow,
36
amazing.
years. So it's not a difficult task. She's a
Hmm.
very straight on kind of talent. It is and it isn't.
It is and it isn't. Yeah.
And I say I never ever say Dion. I always say Miss Warwick. After 36 years, you would think, but no. So it's always Miss Warwick. She is a very caring individual. Uh, she knows her business, so I listen and I listen, and still to this day, I listen, I absorb, I comprehend. And then what I do is I take her advice and her counsel and I share it with someone even younger so that they can go and they can grow by it. I think that's what it's about.
Yeah. The most amazing thing about that is you remained disciplined and you still remain teachable, coachable, and you listen. Like you said, you listen. And I think a lot of artists don't realize that that's what you have to do these days. Well, all days. You have to realize that you have to listen no matter how big you become.
There you go.
You
The
know,
thing for me is that I always go, they always say, oh, Angelo, you're an OG. Yeah, I am an OG, but with new ideas, new
oh,
energy, new innovativeness, young people around me. I always get, well, do you still have the same contacts you had back in the day? I would hope like hell I don't, because that was 50 years ago. I would hope that I would have some new contacts, some new connections. Yeah, I think, let's stop putting people in a pocket because they
right,
grow older, or if you
right.
can't sing that kind of song now, or she can't do, we can do whatever we want to do. I think it's about claiming victory. You got to get it out of your head. If you are negative and you question your own ability, then what the hell is somebody else going to do? They're going to question you too. They're going to question your ability. I do
That's
it all. I do it all.
and you have proven that. And you have proven that, which brings us into even more. I know a lot of people up here today. I read something about you with Mary J. Blige when it comes to artist development. I think it was.
I had the great time with Mary many years ago. See, I'm not into drinking instant coffee. I like brewed coffee.
Mm,
I'm into I'm not into instant success, but I'm into longevity. So
hmm
a lot of all of my formulas in which I taught Mary was not instant,
mm,
but it's now. It's brewed. It had to happen over a period of time. It had to be involved. It had to have all not regular milk, but it had to have half and half. Not white sugar, but it had to have brown sugar. It had to have all the ingredients that would percolate the mind and stimulate her to understand what it's all about. What it is about to go through a bad time and get to a new time in your
right.
life and have an appreciation for it. Now, I'm not saying that every single situation doesn't come back to haunt you.
hmm
It comes back. But I think that she is more now able to deal with whatever the conflicts are in this stage of her life. Because I mean, this is a girl that came from Yonkers, New York. And
hmm
now this is a Oscar nominated actress.
Right.
Say
Right.
whatever you want to say, however you want to say, whatever you want to put in the middle of the street. You can't mess with a track record.
Wait, say it again.
However you want to say, whatever dirt you want to dish, you can't mess with a track record, a
That's true.
proven track record. Say
That's true.
what you want to say about me.
That's
And
right.
I ain't no, listen, I'm not no easy kind of guy. I'm not going back to my mother's basement. I am here to stay. So I'm never going to win a popularity contest. I'm a
hmm
businessman.
hmm
I deal with my business.
hmm
If you follow me, then I will guide you. And I think that's in the same case with a Mary J. Blige, Alicia Keys, and anyone else that is in a popular position. You have to, we can no longer just put our artists, just create them to sing and throw them on the stage.
That's right.
We have to really take the time to allow them to be able to address the good, the bad, and the indifference. And we have to teach them. We have to become more mentors
Right.
to our artists. We can't just throw them out there. And then once they go do something wrong, we all want to run away. Oh, I remember the time that Kanye West came on the stage with the Hennessy bottle and went to. But why did he do that? Because you gave him so much freedom that he thought he could do it.
Mm, that's right.
Why do we have all these things occurring? Because no one is really, they all are just being pimps to get
Mm,
the money and not, I don't have a problem with a good pimp. If you're going to put something in that, like knowledge and a wisdom and awareness and them 5 W's of the who, what's, when, where's, and why's into the artist, then I'm with you.
and I'm with you.
But
That's
when you just throw them out there butt ass naked, I got a problem with it.
yeah. Someone just chimed in. Oh, Trina Broussard, wonderful, wonderful singer. She said, "Yep, we're missing that." And I think that's a problem with a lot of the artists, especially in my period, like the '90s artists that reigned so well. We all realize that we're missing that what you're talking about right now. So I'm trying to figure out too, how do you think we can get that back? Like, who do we have to talk to? Who do we have to?
I think that we have to begin to have conversations with ourselves.
Mm,
We have to begin to understand the importance of the development of ourselves.
mm,
And we have to then extend that knowledge or that conversation with someone that we go to connect with in terms of a record company or executive, a manager. I don't have a problem in teaching people the wherewithals to longevity. And I
mm,
think it begins with your team.
mm.
Your team, you have to be very selective of your team. And I
Very
don't
selective.
believe that there's no dumb questions. I ask
Every stupid question.
every stupid question that I don't understand. And if you can't read the contract, then tell your lawyer to break it down to the third grade. Tell them to break it down to the second grade. See, Sally,
Right.
Yeah, break it down there so that you get an understanding of what you're committing yourself to.
Mm-hmm.
So I really think the missing piece in all of the freedom of independent record labels is that we're remiss over not including the development of an artist. And don't tell me nothing about record development. Tell me about artist development. Don't tell me about how we're going to market this record and how the records go. Tell me what time are we going to spend to educate this artist about interview techniques.
Yes.
And that people say, oh, that's so old, and no, eight. And that's the problem.
Mm-hmm.
We think that the time period, it didn't expire. Manners don't expire.
Right, right,
Style doesn't expire.
right. It's something you said that was very interesting to me about asking questions. I noticed that a lot of label execs or CEOs of major labels and independent labels, they tend to hate when artists or even managers ask questions. Um, I get it. A lot of people want everything to be smooth, and they rather artists just sit there and just do what they say, but they don't understand that that doesn't work well. Do you agree with that?
I totally agree that it doesn't work well because, yeah, they get upset. And a lot of times why they're getting upset is because they're taking what's yours. And
Mm.
you become inquisitive and you want to know the wherewithals. Yeah, they get upset. And I don't
Yeah.
give a damn if you get upset. Get upset. But you got to answer my question.
Oh, see, and I feel you on that, and I totally appreciate that you saying that. We get it a lot now, and a lot, and support to an artist is very, very important. Trina Broussard said this info is golden. He should be on every damn panel or have his own. Shouts out to Trina Broussard, a wonderful artist. That is wonderful. She said she would love to talk to you one day offline.
She would love it, and it would be my pleasure.
Yes, yes.
And so the real side of it is that you got to start with you.
Mm,
And as bractations as it sounds when I say that I'm romantically in love with me, I am. Because
mm.
now I can spend the time with you and your guests loving on them.
That's right.
And I don't think it's again, excuse my redundancy. It's just really important that you are who you are. Don't
Mm,
change it, don't hide it. Be who you are. Be creative, be innovative, be stylized, be whatever. And then just don't be afraid. Don't be afraid. God got you. Don't
mm.
be afraid. And don't sit back. And it's probably easy for me to say, we all worry about money. But
Ah,
he said, if
yeah.
you take a step, and he said, if you take that step, you got to take a step. Because
But
everybody that comes to me today always say, "Oh, Angelo, I don't have to do all that. All you can do is push the button." I said, "Why would I push your button? I'll show you what a damn button is. You can push your own damn button." And
that's
that's what
right.
you got to begin to understand. Pushing and doing and providing for self. And
Mm,
then it comes to the fact of ownership.
mm.
You
Wow.
got to own it.
You got to own it. That's right. Some people now they don't know how to work without money. And a lot of legends were made without money at first. And we forget about the grassroots of things, the guerrilla style, the things that we really have to do to create a firm foundation. But like you said, stop worrying about money so much.
The thing for me is just like I went in and I interned in Tume for 5 years, and I know people will say that was back then. Oh hell no, money is money. Back then, forward, middle, however it may be, it wasn't about the money.
Mm,
It was about learning.
it's about learning.
People come around me, the interns, and they were like, "How much I getting paid?" I said, "I'm gonna pay you no mind. You should be so honored. You should be so honored." And when
Right.
you come in, you're going to work. You're not going to look at me all day. You're not going out to social events. You're not building up your resume or your Rolodex or your iPhone. You ain't doing all of that.
Hmm.
You're going to be assigned a job. You're going to do the job. I'm going to evaluate the job. And then after the tenure, I will then say to you, you can come and work for me, or I will give you a letter of recommendation based on what you have done for me. So I want you to learn.
Mm,
You can't cheat. You can't cheat off somebody's paper. You can't, no. And you ain't going to come in my business and make it no husband or no boyfriend because you know that's where all the entertainers come. Leave all that mess alone and stay focused on your goals.
Wow, stay focused on your goals. You hear that, independent artists and major artists? Stay focused on your goals. I want to ask you too. Also, I know we're in the same umbrella right now, artist development. How Alicia Keys? I noticed I saw on your thing when she did the falling thing. I think that was the time when she just really reached the stratosphere, and her brand expanded. You were a part of that.
I was a part of that, but really, Alicia was assigned to Columbia.
Hmm.
I think they had let Columbia, but she went through me when she was with Columbia. So we
Hmm.
started to develop relationships, uh,
Hmm.
the artist development program, the 24 weeks. And then I think she went in another direction with another label. But I
Hmm.
think that, as I said earlier, it's what you put in. And when you put in the right granules of the coffee, the brewed coffee, it sends itself to be where it's at today.
Mm-hmm. That, Mr. Ellerbee, that is wonderful. Like the things that you talk about, and I've had conversations with you a few times, and the things you talk about, people pay for. So
Yeah.
I'm grateful that I get a lot of this knowledge, and I'm grateful that you're able to talk to us even today. Um, I I don't know where a lot of our industry would be without people like you. So I'm
Well,
appreciating you
that's
again.
but you know what? It's a missing link because there is not a lot of people like me,
Mm,
and it
mm,
needs to be more people like me.
mm,
That's something we can copy. You can emanate this.
right.
We need more people that really care.
Mm,
But you see, then you have to really examine the industry for what the industry is really all about.
mm. Let me.
Everybody gets theirs, but everybody who invests initially gets theirs. Not necessarily the artist, not necessarily, you get the point.
Yeah, I know exactly what you're saying. You said something that really struck home. You said care, people that care. Um, Liz Yancey says, "Does age play a large factor in the music industry in 2020?"
I am 63 years old. Dion Work is 80 years old. Patti LaBelle is 76 years old. It's all about how I feel 23 years old. And that's a lot of what blocks your blessings. You get into age, you get into I can't do this anymore because I'm not young enough. I'm not. You are what you are. There's an
Hmm.
audience for everything you want to do. You know, the great thing that I see in people is that they punish themselves because and then they don't want to live out their dreams. Then they
Mm.
want to sit back and tell you, if I coulda, if I shoulda, if I woulda. You can
Coulda,
do
woulda, shoulda.
whatever you want to do. You know,
Mhm.
if you had a successful career back in the 70s and you felt that you were mistreated, so why don't you come out and do it all over again? Now
Mm.
you got knowledge. Now you got the ability to know the difference in right and wrong. Now you know what it's going to take. So if you still got that voice, get to those producers, make you happen all over again. Prove it to
Make you
yourself.
happen. Make you happen all over again.
Yeah.
That is ooh. Back to what you said earlier. You said something about people that care. Now, in reference to that, are you talking about people to care about the artist as well, like the team that around you?
Yeah.
Yeah, because I noticed a lot of times we lack that, and sometimes, and I'm guilty of caring for artists or anybody that I work with,
Don't be
and
guilty. Don't be
don't
guilty.
don't be guilty
Don't
because
be.
I think it's very important to care about the artist because when you support that artist, for one, it helps the artist do better. It helps the artist feel like they have support. And I know for me, being an artist and any artist that I work with, I want to give what I thought I didn't get. So
Hey,
I I commend anyone who is out there fighting for the artist because without the artist, what's the need of a record label anyway? Make sure this can be replayed. So we will definitely replay this over and over for all you independent artists, for all you labels, everyone that is interested in hearing all these nuggets.
Kevin, let me just say this to you. The word ambitious
Mm.
turns into the word ambitious.
Ooh.
You have to, ambitious is all over the map. That's just, you don't know what you're doing and you just trusting everybody and you bringing everybody into. No, I want to be ambitious.
Mm.
I want to have a focus, a desire. I want to have a strength and an energy, and I want to apply it to a focus and a target point. I don't want to be ambitious. I don't
Mm.
want to be everywhere. I don't want to be influenced by everyone else's thoughts. I want to be influenced by my own. I want to give it to God and ask God for the guidance and the counsel and tell me if I'm right or tell me if I'm wrong and what should I do. So we really need to have conversations about how we can begin to enlighten each other's lives, how we
Mm-hmm.
can help each other. Everybody is so jealous of everybody. Oh, she's out. You know what? Take that energy. And I tell you, I disperse of that in my life. I
Mm.
don't want it in my life. I went through all of that. And so in this readdressing this life for what it is now, I don't well, I don't need negativity. I need people around me that's going to love me, that's going
Mm.
to care for me, that's going to provide for me, that's going to teach me. And then I'm going to be reciprocal and I'm going to give it back to them and back to them. But the money game is just like, it's like it's a lot in this industry. But once you remove all of that and just say, if we work collectively together,
Mm-hmm.
wow, if we come together collectively, can you imagine the empowerment that we would have as independent artists?
Mm.
And
Mm.
our own
Mm.
labels and how we're going to bring all our producers together to kick out those strong tracks and those great vocals, and everybody's going to take a turn at winning. Think Barry Gordy,
Yeah.
think about the Supremes, think about Martha and the Vandellas, think about Mary Wells, think about all of them were all together, females, males, and everybody had a turn.
But now we have groups they want, we come together, they make you feel like you're together, but then there's this entity over here and this entity over here, and nobody's really talking to each other, and it's like a catastrophe.
Well, you see, I think that it has a lot to do with your rearing and who you
Mm.
have around you. Oh, she's a, but you know, mistake. She thinks you know what? No, you think that because that's what she said. That ain't what she said.
Okay, you think that it ain't what she said. See, Mr. Ellerbee, that's what I'm saying. We need more people like you, because a lot of times I even get accused of being too harsh or having no filter. But you know what? It's real. If you can't stand the heat, then don't sit in the kitchen.
No, don't even come by the kitchen because
Don't buy the kitchen.
because the thing I think in my early age of beginning in this industry, I was so misunderstood
Mm-hmm.
to the fact that I was very demanding.
Mm.
And I wasn't demanding, being demanding and then being nasty is another story. And I'm
Mm-hmm.
sure in my time that was that as well. But I wanted people to understand what it really was going to take to get
Right.
to what we needed to get to.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not going to, and so we all got to do this together. I don't excuse myself, and neither am I apologetic. I have employees now that come back to me 30 years later and simply say, you know what, Angela, I got it. I understand the formula. I understand why you were who you were and why you did what you did. And
Mm.
so it's a formula.
Mm-hmm.
And I would never ever, I'm sorry,
That's okay.
music. Um,
I,
I just can't be apologetic for people learning and growing and having their own identities and being with me and then going to start their own PR companies. I applaud that. Or
mm,
becoming their own publicist or that marketing person. I applaud all of that. But
mm-hmm.
it has to be a collective. We have to all come together and understand that we all got a turn at this.
That's right.
We all
That
have a turn at it.
that is, it's amazing to just like hear you say these things and wonder why isn't people saying this today? It's all about that quick dollar, and I don't know. It's just no one seems to be authentic. No one seems to want to listen to one another. I mean, how do we fit? And where do you think music is going?
I don't know where music is going, but I would wonder where my people are going.
That's it. That's it. Where my people are going.
And I'm starting to see, and this, I'm starting just to see a change, not a bad change. I think that unfortunately, when one door closes, another one opens, and I talk about George Floyd, he
Mm-hmm.
brought the community together by wow.
Mm-hmm.
We're fighting collectively. We're marching collectively for change. I
Right.
think slowly but surely, it's all going to hit into all the veritable communities of workmanship and unity and understanding what unity and all these things are, what it's all about. I think as the gospel hymn goes, one day at a time, sweet Jesus, one day at a time.
Time. And you know, it's so funny. It's one big artist that you and I definitely. Well, we have a couple of artists in common, but
Mhm.
this one in particular, DMX.
Why did I know that was going to come?
I had to. I could not even do this interview without mentioning the thing between you and DMX because you were a very big part of his career when he changed, when he shifted over, I guess. But even I was watching the DMX documentary and I saw you in the documentary. I was like, that's Mr. Ellerbee. So,
You know that my relationship with X, or my coming together to work with him, was the most one of the most beneficial points of my life because I had to really wrap my head around a community that didn't necessarily receive me, and I
mhm,
had to work out strategies of how I was going to exist in this community of folk who did not understand me. And I found Earl to be a very wise young man. People have him totally wrong. He's a very God fearing man. Um, he used to call me and say that one of the most important things that my assignment was making sure that I paid his tithes.
mm,
He took care of everybody from
wow,
church to people on the street. He had such a giving soul
mm,
and a very misunderstood soul. A good guy. Uh,
mm,
it would come and it would go, you know.
mhm,
Um, but I think that the taste is still everlasting of what he taught me, what we shared together, and how we got to the apex of understanding one another.
mm,
So I didn't just manage or do the publicity. He had a record label, and first of all he had a manager who was his uncle, Uncle Ray, who
mhm,
I adore to this day. This man is incredible, and he had an understanding to X, and him and I still talk to this day. But he, Earl was the kind of guy that gave you all the comfortabilities to run whatever he asked for you to run. So I was running what was his Bloodline Records,
mhm,
where he had about 13 or 14 different artists. So I was overseeing and supervising and managing and then doing the publicity. Well, my office really did the publicity and then the management and on the road. Um, it was an experience, and it was a worthwhile experience that has taught me how to deal with other situations that has occurred in my life musically.
wow. And I think that's what's important. A lot of things we go through is supposed to help us for the rest of our lives, for our life, not just the one thing that the streamlined focus of the music or the dancing or the acting, but our life.
Yeah, yeah. You
Yeah.
should be able to take from any particular situation something that you can share with someone else. I believe that.
That's amazing. So I noticed too, you're still going and moving forward. You're on the cover of a new magazine.
Yeah. Yeah.
I saw that, and they're calling you the king of PR and marketing and stuff like that. So you're still going on. I'm loving the fact that you have new things coming up. I know you told me something about you're going to work towards some new publications, and I can't wait to see it.
Well,
How?
we're now working on my biopic.
Yes.
The 20th Century Fox has brought my life story many moons ago, and so now we're going back to revisit it, and We're gonna do what we have to do. I listen. It is not about winning every race.
Mm-hmm.
It's about staying in the race. Eventually, you have to win. I'm
Mm.
going nowhere.
Thank you. That is words for me. So you said that for me. So I just want to know too, like if you have something to say to the artist now, and what would you say to everyone now?
I will say what I said many years ago. Be original. Be yourself. Believe in yourself.
Mm,
Nobody else believes in you. When this one calls you this and this one say you can't sing and this, believe in yourself.
I
Hone
know.
your craft. Educate yourself about the business of music.
Mm,
It is important that you become that business person along with being that artist. You
that's right.
can't hire nobody to do a job if you don't know what the job is that you're hiring them to do, right? So
That's
you
right.
have to understand the job description and the responsibilities that come along with the people that you bring into your life.
Mm,
And so I just think that it's about claiming victory. It's not about winning every race. It's about staying in the race. And remember that you never want to be a star. Never, ever want to be a star. Because if you take the word star and you spell it backwards, that's not what you're working towards. You're not
mm.
working towards being a rat. You're working towards being an achiever and an accomplisher and one to be inspired and one to stand, to allow somebody else to stand on your shoulder.
Wow. That is, oh, I got two more questions because I know we're running into, you know, a lot of us artists, we get so jealous of each other, envious of each other, and I know something happened to me, and I know other artists can attest to this. You know, if someone said to you, "Oh, Mr. Ellerbee thinks he's more than what he is," because that was said.
You know what I would say to them? I
What?
absolutely am.
Okay, and
I
and thank you for that. And I want to say that to all the artists out there that's probably said that to me. So, I just had to throw that in there. That was cheap, but I had to do it.
man, it's like it's just really real. Look, I don't care about those people's backyard over there and how they cut their grass.
Right.
Concerned with how I cut my grass. I
That's
stay out of your business and I mind my business because
that's
that
right.
is a lot to stay focused. I don't care about what no other PR company do and who got who and who's rep. That ain't none of my business because I ain't getting none of that money.
That's right.
I got to stay this way,
That's right.
and I have to have all the tools to cut my own grass, to
That's
cut
right.
my weeds. I don't particularly care about what's going unless you want to bring it to me in a manner that it can be palatable and we can work together. I don't have a problem in doing that.
That's right. And I just want to say for the last question, so we can make sure we don't run over. What would you say to the young Angelo Ellerbee? Would you be proud with yourself right now?
No, I would simply say, I want you, Angelo, to be great. Then I want you to be the greater. And then I want you to be the greatest. And you're nowhere near that. Keep striving, Angelo. Keep allowing yourself to win.
Mm,
Let nobody block your blessings, not even your siblings. You got to stay focused. You got to win. And you
mm,
don't listen. There's no resting place
mm.
trying to win.
And there you have it, Mr. Angelo Ellerbee, the king of PR marketing, and also a lot of other things. Yeah. So I just want to thank everybody for tuning in. We are the Heat Seekers. I am Kevin Bryant, and this is New Music Day Spotlight, and we're spotlighting Mr. Angelo Ellerbee. And I'm telling you, if you haven't seen this, you make sure you want to see this again. Thank you so much. And artists, if you don't know who he is, you need to find out. That's right. Tell them where they can reach you.
Well, I love for people to come to my website, which is D as in David, xxnyc.com. And all my platforms, social media is all the same.
Thank you very much. And we're tuning out. Thank you, Mr. Ellerbee. This was
My
wonderful.
pleasure. My pleasure.
Definitely want to see this again.
Thank
I am
you.
Kevin Bryant signing out. Thanks.